if you could talk to home builders before they actually build their, whether it's a single home or a whole neighborhood, what would you ask them to do to tee up ADUs and the development of ADUs in the future?
That's a great question, Stephen. Thank you for addressing that. So if there was a builder that came to me and said, hey, if I wanted to leave the opportunity for a future ADU on this small development that I was doing, I would ask them, him or her, to just please consider the setbacks of the main structure. Please consider the utilities and the infrastructure layout. And if nothing else, plot it. So plot it on your plot plan so you know that it'll fit. And as you're taking utilities to the main house, the single coolest thing about an accessory dwelling unit is it can piggyback on almost all of the services of the main house. There are a couple exceptions. One being, if you're in Ashland, it has to have its own private electric meter, but most municipalities don't require. So to run a sewer line is X amount of dollars. To put a stub up, a clean out on the side of the house where you could tie in your ADU later is literally pennies. And that's the same with a water line. That's the same when Avista is bringing you gas, if you so choose. That's the same when Charter is laying cable. All the infrastructure goes in. The trenches are open. It's the same amount of labor. It's just a little bit more material to put in the infrastructure for the new build. And then the other thing that I would suggest is look for incentives while you're building. For example, right now, Medford has waived 100% of the fees, the system development fees for their ADU. So if you're a builder in Medford right now and you're asking, hey, if I ever want to do an ADU on this lot, what should I do? I'd say put in the infrastructure now and at least strongly consider starting the process now so you can save money on those fees, which hopefully you can pass on to the consumer.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it seems like a little bit of foresight could really tee things up for that homeowner. It seems like it would be a value add when you're trying to sell that home that you've just built, that it's all ready to go for an ADU.
It's an incredible value add. And I'm glad you brought that up because I've seen a lot of appraisals with accessory dwelling units on them. And before they were just giving them a low end square footage valuation. And in time, as we build more and more of these and people see how much faster and how much more desirable they are, they're getting a higher and higher square footage price for accessory dwelling units. So not only does it look better on paper and you have a higher valuation because you have more finished square feet, that's just a small piece of the value add. What you have is a lot larger buyer pool because these things are trendy. They work for everybody. They work for large families, small families. And if you have a large family, you can put some of them there. If you have a small family, you can live in that and rent the main house. So there's just so many options that you have a lot larger pool of buyers. And if you talk to any realtor and you say, I've got a listing coming up with an ADU on it, I mean, you can just see that their eyes light up because they know how much more desirable that property is going to be. So I don't understand why everybody that's building is not considering these. But we have traditionally in our state and in our country been, single family zone has always been reserved for one dwelling. And we're still, as an industry, caught in that mindset. And so progress will be slow.
No, but I hope it'll be sped up a little bit by your wise words.
Well, thank you.
That's great. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording here.